up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Talking Elite Fitness. I'm Sean Woodland, joined by Lauren Khalil. Lauren, where are you?
I am in Charleston, South Carolina.
All over the place.
It's much warmer here than the hailstorm happening at home, so I'll take this.
Dang. And featuring Tommy Marquez. Good Samaritan Tommy Marquez, I should say.
Yes, Good Samaritan.
Oh, yeah.
I did my Good Samaritan work for today. I will expand upon that later in the show.
Okay.
I can't
Stay
wait to
tuned.
hear the story.
But you got to meet Miles this past
I
weekend.
did get to meet Miles, man.
Yeah.
That kid, super chill. Like, what did you give him? Are you like, why is that kid he's just like, yeah, whatever.
He's just hanging.
Hey, what's up?
I don't know. Honestly.
What's up, everybody?
I mean, I consider myself a pretty chill human, but he was even more like.
Yeah, that was great.
I was very impressed with how he thrived in that very dynamic environment.
He
was
wasn't
the Carhartt onesie that he had on.
It must have been because
Oh
he
my
was just
God.
like,
Why have you not posted a picture?
We're being very close to the vest with photos of him. So.
yeah, he was
that's
awesome,
rare.
man.
Because he honestly, like, I look at photos from him like a month ago and I'm like, you look completely different.
It's so
I'm
like seeing
Send
you
him
with
in the group chat.
seeing Tommy with a kid, and then our friend Irv was there, and he's got a baby. And these are two guys that I remember, like I met in 2012. You know,
Was Charlie's baby there too?
Charlie's baby was there,
Yes.
and I met all these guys in 2012. And if you had told me then that, hey, you know, one day all three of these men will procreate, I'd be like, no way is that going to happen?
Yeah, these two scruffy cholos are gonna have some offspring.
Oh my God.
Oh man, well we got some things to talk about today.
Happy birthday, Sean.
Oh, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you very much. Thank
We're
you.
a day late, but
Yeah,
you know.
A day late, but happy birthday.
I'm officially in my 50s. God, I did what was the chipper workout from 2015? The open. We're doing open workouts as part of NC Fit programming. The 55 workout, right?
Yep.
Well, that didn't go as well as it did 10 years ago. Let me say.
You didn't beat your score.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I still got into the last part of it, but woof.
Nice.
Yeah, I was.
You're kicking and screaming on the way there.
Pretty much. Yeah, my back was like, what are you doing? Like I used the same rep scheme for the deadlifts, and like the wall balls were not nearly. That's where I think I fell apart. Where in the past I would have cranked out bigger sets. But you know, whatever. 10 years and still got a little bit of fitness left. But thank you very much. Yeah, it was a good day, and happy to be 51. You know, not a lot of people get this opportunity, so.
Yeah.
A lot of people would trade places with me is all I'm saying. But anyway, we got a lot to talk about. A World Fitness Project, they rounded out their roster. Open update as far as where the numbers stand. And then talk a little bit about Annie Thorisdottir. And then Tommy and Lauren sat down with Games champion and now Wadapalooza champion James Sprague for a great interview. So you're going to want to stick around for that. That'll be coming up here in a little bit. But before we get to any of that, we want to thank our sponsor for today. And that is Thirdzy and their rest and recovery collagen. And Lauren has recently ingested that. Like we record at night. Lauren's on the East Coast. It's like 10:30. So don't be surprised if all of a sudden you just hear, on the
We're in a
microphone
race against time
like,
right now.
You just hear a commotion and it's Lauren falling over asleep.
And you guys will relate to this as men who are older than me, because I feel like a grandma sometimes. So I'm among the grandpas. And if you want to go out and have a nice dinner, maybe have an adult beverage, and then still be home by 9 and in bed by 9:30, like Thirdzy allows you to live both of those lives.
Yes, it does.
Oh,
yes, it does.
Yeah.
Best of both worlds, guys.
It doesn't have melatonin in it, so it's not habit forming. It's got GABA, L-theanine, magnesium, helps calm your central nervous system so you get to sleep faster, you stay asleep longer, and you wake up feeling better. Works for me. I get up pretty early every morning, often sometimes every now and then at 4 a.m. to go work out, and I feel pretty good. Like it's I get enough sleep. Like I get between 5 and 6 hours thanks to Thirdzy. I stay asleep longer during those stretches. Like I used to wake up all the time. That doesn't happen anymore. And I feel great waking up. So give them a try. Thirdzy.com/TEF. So Thirdzy.com/TEF. Automatically 20% is going to get added to your order. So you'll save 20%. There's not a code you have to enter anymore. It's just Thirdzy.com/TEF. Check out their rest and recovery collagen, and you're going to up your sleep game, and you're going to feel a lot better when you wake up in the morning and you get to sleep a lot faster. Okay, first thing we want to talk about, Open is right around the corner.
4 weeks?
No, it starts the
What
like
date
March
is it?
something.
What
It's the
month are
weekend of
we?
the 27th because I know that's
It's 3 weeks from now, the
Yeah.
first announcement.
because it's the same weekend as the
exactly
Arnold.
3 weeks away.
Yeah.
Hey,
Our good friend Mike Halpin has been tracking the registration. The most recent one he has, I'll pop this up on the screen for those of you who are watching. So that gap, as far as the drop is concerned, is starting to decrease. So at one point we were at 40%. At last check-in with Mr. Halpin's numbers, we're now at a 34% drop off year over year. So they had 31,000 fewer people at this point in registration than we had in 2024. And I don't, right now, I think that is probably pretty good, all things considered.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
and I imagine that like every year we do see a big boom once the Open actually does start, like before the scores are submitted. So I would imagine that it's a similar trend as we get closer and there's, the last minute people that turn in their homework.
Well, and look, give them credit, because you always talked about, look, in the past, you got to promote it, and they've been promoting it. It's been on social media. They've had a lot of athletes putting stuff out there. Like, so you can't say they haven't been promoting that, and that's probably a reason why, they're one of the reasons why they've been able to slice into that deficit of that was once, like I said, 40%. I think it was even higher than that at one point when we first started. But Lauren, you're absolutely right. As we get closer to the start, and you can see that on the screen, that red line is last year. Like there's a sharp uptick to the up and to the right in the last couple days because people start to get close to it. Like, oh yeah, I got to register, and they do it, and then even afterwards. So probably, I think that's, again, all things considered, probably a win for CrossFit.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm looking at a different chart. He's got a worm chart up here that.
Yeah, that's the one that's the one that tracks like a bunch of different years, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he had data from 2022 on one of the recent ones.
I think as of right now, registration is like 57,000 behind now, but only like only like 18,000 behind 2022. So the worms give a little bit clearer picture around where things were and how the trends were, because certain years were trending higher at this point, but then didn't get the bump the same way.
Yeah, because the drop off, the first drop off happened in, was it 20? Because
it was the year that they didn't do the live announcements.
So that would have been 2020.
Yeah, that was the first real drop off. There was a slight drop off, like 360 or 350, somewhere around there. Maybe in 2019 there was a late surge
because they had because they had two opens in 2019.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right.
Yes, that year, the fall one.
I always forget how that worked out.
The spooky open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Anything more about that?
No, just I'm very curious to see where it's at. Like even just talking with people around, like I get to go to the gym once a week now.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of dropping some lines like where people are at and like, hey, are you guys doing it this year? Are you excited to do it this year? Just getting the temperature like on an individual gym basis is always interesting to see, just because last year I felt like there was a lot more buzz, but
and here's a question for you, for both of you. How much of a difference, how much of an impact do you think the announcements make? Like after that first announcement, do you think that has any impact whatsoever or not? Like,
yeah,
you do.
I always felt like it, especially if it's something everyone's like, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, and everyone knows there's that person that waits until the 11th hour to see what the programming is for the day before showing up to class. They're like, oh, I forgot to check. Should I go today? Oh, you know what? I love me some heavy deadlifts. I'm going to show up, and they get to class last minute. Wheels up.
I think there's also something about, I'm the type of person that during the open, I always want to be in the first heat. I do not want to see the turmoil that people go through after doing it. That gives me stress and anxiety. But when you watch the elites do it, they don't crumble the way that general pop gym goers crumble. So you watch them do it and you're like last year, I'll never forget the dumbbell snatch and the burpees. And I was like, oh, no problem. Like this should be fine. And like that put me in the hole for hours after that workout.
I
So
remember
there's
trying to
something
talk
about,
to you in New York, and
yes,
you were in Brooklyn, and you were like,
we all went
I
out to dinner with the Rad team because that's who
Mm.
we were teaming up with for these open Friday night lights. And I was, I'm very social. And I was sitting across from Noah Olson and he's telling a story and I'm just like glazed eyes looking at him. Like I can't even communicate.
Let me clarify. I know the programming, obviously, if people see it, but I meant just like the announcement itself, whether like the quality of it, or because I think the second was it the second open or the first? It was the 2019 open, the first one, when they had the announcements that were just sort of community outsourced. I don't know.
That's the year I was
do you
thinking
think
of.
that had an impact on people wanting to sign up, regardless of programming? I don't know if it did or not. I feel like
I think
it did.
I think 2019 was this weird year, right? Because I don't think people fully grasped the changes that were happening and were unfolding. So they looked to the open announcements initially as like, all right, what's going on? And then there was a lot of like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
But I think at that point, by the time that came up, a lot of people were like, FOMO, sign up.
Yeah.
And then it happened. And then I think what we saw was I think we saw the effect of that in the second one.
Agreed.
After everyone was like, not only were the open announcements not that great, the format for the games was wonky. There was a bunch of weird stuff going on that year. Like, I'm out. And I think I don't know if we'll see that maybe this year. I'd be curious to see what next year too. But I think it's a little bit different now because obviously it's like people are a little bit more once bitten, twice shy than they were back in 2019.
Yeah. Okay. Next thing we wanted to talk about is World Fitness Project. They have, let me see, did I get rid of that? No. They have rounded out the roster. And they have a pretty impressive group of athletes. So they have 20 pro men, 20 pro women.
I like these graphics.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
I don't think they tagged the person, which is pretty normal, but whoever did it, kudos. They look cool.
It does look nice.
Yeah.
So Laura Horvath is in. She was, I think, the last female athlete announced. Obviously, Tia Toomey is not. But pretty good collection. I mean, a really solid collection of female athletes. Lucy Campbell, who just won Wadapalooza, Danny Spiegel, Olivia Kerstetter, Haley Adams, Paige Semenza, Danielle Brandon, Ariel Lowen, Emma Lawson, Bethany Flores, Maddie Sturt, Emily Rolfe, Sydney Wells, Amy Kringle, Manon Anganese, Emma Tall, Emma McQuaid, Alexis Raptis, Brooke Wells, and Alex Gazan. So, and then they'll add 10 more through the qualifiers, and then those 30 athletes will compete throughout the season, and then, you're going to knock 10 off, and it might, who knows who they're going to be because of the pro card thing. So, if you threw that roster up for, I think, pretty much any event, people would be like, I want to watch that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you have a nice international mix, and it's the visual element is right there on display with all the flags. But you have a good swath of individual podium athletes that have really showcased high level skills in specific areas, multiple year games athletes. Up and comers, people that have been inside the top 5 perennial year after year. So I mean, I think it's at least half the field has been more than half the field has been inside the top 5 at the games. I want to say 1, 2, 3.
Well, plus
4,
I think
5.
while you're calculating that, I think this it's just going to be a fun format to watch because there's just multiple stories to tell. It's like during the event, who's going to be able to hang on to the pro card, who's winning. It's just I think it's kind of like regionals in that respect where it's like you had the winner and then you had the bubble kind of battle, but now the bubble battle is like constantly going through a couple of events. So I sets up well. So on the men's side, they have 3 of the last fittest men on earth: Jeff Adler, Justin Medeiros, and James Sprague. They're all in, and then you got Noah Olson, Austin Hatfield, Jonakoski, Luka Jukic, Sam Quant, Guy Maeros, Jay Crouch, Ricky Garrard, BKG, Jason Hopper, Victor Hoffer, Chandler Smith, Dallin Pepper, Roman Krennikov, Travis Mayer, Yella Hosta, and Pat Vellner. And again, who knows who the next 10 athletes are going to be. So look, World Fitness Project, still a lot of unknowns as far as, what the events are going to kind of look like, how it's all going to work as far as the schedule of competition goes. But I think they're off to a really good start.
Yeah, there's a lot of momentum behind it. I think it's one of those things that has a lot of excitement between athletes and fans, and there's a lot of buzz, and it's just the anticipation now of seeing it play out and what is this actually going to look like, and what is the sustainability year after year, and will fans come out, will people fill seats, all of those things that, you know, we ask about any other competition. I think it's like, can this format create enough buzz to be sustainable when it comes to like just being lucrative, not just for the athletes, but for the event itself.
And they already posted ticket prices for the event. So $50 for a single day event if you go, $100 for the full weekend.
Not bad.
So yeah, so it's not bad at all. I think that's cheaper than regionals were, and you have a much more like dense field as far as like distilling the top athletes into this competitive field. But yeah, it's the ticket prices are reasonable. They've announced where the locations are well ahead of time. They have a solid roster of athletes. We're starting to get like little hints and breadcrumbs as to events. I think Will Morad posted a photo of a pool, teasing that there could potentially be a swimming event in a pool, which is great because it's in a controlled environment with lanes and lifeguards, and it's a completely different scenario than an open water swim and much more manageable in that regard. And yeah, so I like what they're doing so far. I also think like how you come on the air for that first event will also be really important. I think very similar to the open announcements in 2019, there's a nice like through line there. It's like, all right, how is this going to look? Obviously this is the first time this event is putting on something, but if they put something that's pretty solid, and then that, hey, we're going to build off of that, then even better.
So Lauren brought up the one main question that I have, and that is, will people show up? And then I guess, Tommy, you addressed it too. Will people watch? Because my big concern right now about the sport in general is that there's just less enthusiasm for it than there has been in the past. And it's like, will this help rekindle what we've seen in the past? Or is it people just have tuned out and now it's going to be hard to get them back? I don't know. I think this probably has, of all the things right now, as far as things are going on in the sport, I think like if this doesn't work, then I'm.
What were the live stream numbers like for SoCal? Just thinking that like that was a new format. Yeah.
That I don't know.
Because I wonder if like that's there's still different things, like that was something new. So if people are looking for a new experience or a new structure that's going to get them excited or going to get them to, open up their laptop or have some kind of sports viewing party, which we do with other sports. I just wonder if, because this format is different and because there are the pro cards and the challengers, and like, is that going to get people interested in a different way?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I think it has the potential to. Like I said, if not this, then what?
Yeah.
I mean, you had let's look. Wadapalooza SoCal day one, 127,000 views on the day one stream, 103,000.
But is that? I think the number that matters is peak concurrent.
Yeah, 109,000. Yeah, peak concurrent is probably most important, but that's something that you're going to get from, back of house. But
yeah, sorry, I think Josh Allen just won MVP.
He did?
I think so. Good for him. I think he did. He got something. Yep, MVP. Nice job. He deserves it.
Nice.
Good job, Josh Allen. The Bills, the poor people in Buffalo, they got to celebrate something.
Yeah, not the weather.
Yeah, exactly. All right, moving on. Next thing we want to talk about before we get into the James Sprague interview is that Annie Thorisdottir caused a stir on this. Originally happened on the Buttery Bros video that they did and Wadapalooza, kind of chronicling the experience of the daughters team. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. And Annie said, she's not signing up for the Open. And now I haven't seen the video yet, but I've heard it from secondhand. So Tommy, why don't you You take over.
Yeah.
You've seen it. You know what happened.
Yeah, it's funny like to hear it like quote unquote causing a stir, because I didn't think anything that she said, like outside of the sheer fact that she stated that she was not doing the open, like that was the only thing that was really like, oh, but how she handled it, how she presented it, how she discussed it, and the way she presented her position, in my opinion, was not like stir worthy. I mean, it is if you're CrossFit and you're like, crap, she's not doing it, because she presented it in a very eloquent way. She stated very clearly, like, this is my position. This is how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I urge you to come to your own decision. And if you decide and feel otherwise, don't fault you for it. By all means, more power to you. But I think people that started to create a ruckus around it did so not listening to the full clip, or not like watching the full video,
Mm-hmm.
so much so that she had to kind of come out and make another statement to kind of clarify. But it was like, yeah, she's an affiliate owner, she's an athlete, she's been arguably, I think she has been the longest standing ambassador for the sport, that like man or woman, given that she started in 2009 and she was instantly towards the top of the sport, and her individual career has spanned 3 different decades.
That's
and
insane to think about too, by the way.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And she's been involved in the sport and the community at every level, as a coach, as an affiliate owner, as an athlete, as someone that works and inspired like further generations of athletes, including Katrin Davidsdottir. And like for her to say like, hey, I feel like the trust has been broken. She has had more access and more understanding and insight to the back of house operations and the things going on behind the scenes and the stuff that everyone else doesn't get to see at the surface level. So I think that is maybe what caused a little bit of stir and some cause for alarm for some people. It also just the people that are going to, are so zealous that they're going to say like, yeah, open, yeah, CrossFit, yeah, HQ, no matter what, that obviously that's going to rub them the wrong way. But I mean, that is what it is. That's, that's the zealots getting crazy. But I don't know. Like, I'm like, well, how could you be upset with her if she is not telling you to think a certain way? She's not forcing you to make your decision that way. She's presenting her position and basically saying, that's my choice.
Yeah.
And I think it's also just indicative of our inability to like handle differing opinions at this point in time, And that's more of that's indicative of like society in general. Like if someone holds a different opinion than us, and our instincts is to like, no, bad, burn it down kind of thing,
Yeah, it's just I feel for the athletes right now, because it seems like whether people decide to sign up for the open or not to sign up for the open, it's so polarizing, and I don't understand why, because it is a personal decision, and I don't get why there's so much hate. I mean, it's the internet. That's the age that we live in. But even Ariel Lowen was doing a Q&A recently, and somebody asked if she was doing the open, and she got on camera and was like, I'm not going to answer that question, because I'm not going to give a reason today for anybody to spread hate, whether I say yes or no. So that's a future Ariel problem. But it's like, dang, like I feel so bad for them, because like if they're not promoting their open, they're just saying, hey, this is my choice. And I don't understand why people can't just respect that and move on.
Well, it's funny. Go ahead, Tony.
I'll say she did say like, hey, we'll do the workouts at our gym. We'll support people who want to do that. I'll still probably do the workout, but I mean, it felt like what it ultimately boiled down to is she was voting with her dollar in this instance, and she didn't feel like that. She felt like the trust was broken to the point where she didn't feel comfortable investing that money and voting behind that in that way.
Yeah, and
that's fair, right? Like she has every right to go that way.
Well, and I think she brought up in the video that she did for Instagram. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. I don't want to play it here because it's a little too. It'd be like just too long to sit through. I'd rather just kind of pick out the highlights, because I think most people who listen to us have probably watched it. She mentioned the fact that yes, they made an advisory council. We've had that before. I was on it. Nothing happened. They had. She's brought up the safety council. How it is they report to somebody. She's like, I think that should be independent. So she gave some She gave some reasons, and you can see why. Like, and you mentioned the back of the house stuff, Tommy, and she's had a front row seat to some of that. And she mentioned like this is, to her, it just doesn't seem like that this was enough of a change to warrant her putting her money behind it.
Yeah.
And on like that's more or less the same kind of decision that people made in 2019 when they're like, I don't want to support this anymore. And you saw that huge drop. And John Woolley brought up a really good point in one of his stories. It's like the vast majority of this community, and I mean people who go to CrossFit gyms, don't sign up for the open.
Yeah.
You know, they don't.
Yeah.
And it just seems like it's being, and I think right now in like you mentioned this, Tommy and Lauren, I think you touched on this. There's just such a tendency now because conflict sells that you divide people up into camps and then you get them going at each other, and that encourages engagement online. Like that's what sells now. Conflict.
It's politics 101, right?
That's what the algorithms feed us. Like get you outraged, get conflict, get you to jump in. And we just want to divide. So if you're not signing up for the open,
my algorithm, God, it's cute dogs and
I guess, but it is like conflict sells now, and
it does.
It's like there's no room for the middle. It's like if you don't sign up for the open, therefore you do not support CrossFit. Therefore you're in this camp that is bad.
Yeah.
If you do sign up for the open, you do support CrossFit. Therefore you're in this camp and you are good. Whereas I think most people are kind of in the middle. It's like, I might not sign up for the open, but I love the methodology. I love CrossFit. I love watching it. But you know what? Right now, I just don't want to sign up. And there might be people who are signing up who are like, yeah, I don't like the way the Lazar Jukic thing was handled, but my friends are signing up. I like doing it in my affiliate, so I'm going to do it. Like, I just don't think it's a black or white thing.
Both are fine. Both are fine.
And look, Annie didn't say, come join me. Let's, it was like, this is my choice. You make yours. It's up to you. But I'm wondering if more people will follow, more like big name athletes will follow her and do this, or if this 100%. Is like you think they're going to make 100%. Make the statement like that?
I don't know if they'll make the statement, but it'll become very clear when their name doesn't show up on the leaderboard.
I mean, obviously, but I'm like they get ahead of it. They're like, hey, I'm not doing it, or if it's just like they just don't sign up, and then all of a sudden,
I think there will be. Yeah, I think there will be, and it's hard to say, right? Like. It's something that's looming on the horizon. So maybe some athletes are waiting to really kind of make their decision still, because it is a difficult decision, right, for them. And it's I think what's unfair is like people throwing stones at Annie, where it's like she has done so much for the sport and the community.
That she's pretty much I don't know how, right? First female superstar. She's the reason we like Catherine Davis' daughter is even in the sport. Like, how many women did she inspire to get into that sport? How many sponsors did she bring because of what she was doing and the attention she was getting to the ecosystem?
I mean, no disrespect to Rich, but I think she is one of the reasons why it became as international as it did.
Oh, I would agree 100% with you.
Because, Rich definitely helped. Like, he was an American-born, male champion, like, looked the part, like just awesome dude all around. And for an American-based company where the vast majority of affiliates were in America, that helped kind of keep that flame stoked, if you will. For Europe and everywhere else, where they're looking at this female champion that's held up in equal regard, and it's like, oh my gosh, she's got, like, even down to the name Thorisdottir was just so badass at the time. And everyone was like, oh, there's this like international woman from Iceland that she's like a Viking woman that just carries this mantle for the sport in such a way. And oh, guess what? She runs an affiliate that's a national landmark in the country, and Europeans all over can identify with that. I think that planted the seeds in a very special way. And it's like, how can you argue with her at that point?
Yeah.
Like, how could you say she's not doing enough or hasn't done enough at this point?
Mm.
So,
no, agreed. Well, yeah, we'll see if anybody else joins her. And, I don't know, maybe have there been, I guess there are athletes that are promoting it, but I'm just wondering if there's going to be kind of someone on the opposite side that says, hey, here's why I'm doing it, and here's why I think you should. I think there's been a little bit of that in some of the athletes who have partnered with CrossFit to kind of make some material to get people to sign up. But yeah, 3 weeks away, so we shall see. Okay, next thing we want to get into, this is going to be the majority of the show, is Tommy and Lauren recently sat down with James Sprague, who is coming off that big event competition win, I should say, at Wadapalooza. And I think really proved a lot in the process. And before we get into that interview, I just want to remind you guys, go check out Thirdzy, thirdzy.com/TEF. You're going to save 20% on their rest and recovery collagen. Go to sleep faster, stay asleep longer, wake up feeling much better. Any sort of top line preview you want to give to us before we jump into this interview?
Oh, it was such a fun conversation.
It's a great
Yeah, I would say that, like, I hope that people can take an open mind to James as an athlete and as a person outside of what may have been their first exposure to him at the games.
Mhm.
Like he doesn't outright say it, but obviously it was very apparent that, the games were just, while a lifetime accomplishment from it, were a very conflicted time for him as a young athlete. And I think it's no question that he rubbed some people the wrong way with this, his energy and some interviews and stuff like that. And I think it's something he's still processing. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I hope some people get to see more of like who he is as a person, and know that, like, he's got a good heart for sure. Cause some of us who've known him since he was in the teenage divisions, like, we've known that for a while.
Yeah. All right. Here is the conversation that Tommy and Lauren had with James Sprague.
All right, we welcome in now our guest for this week. He is the reigning CrossFit Games champion, the reigning Wadapalooza individual men's champion. He just did his first High Rocks. He got married in the last year, and he's just an all-around cool dude. It is James Sprague. James, how are you doing, my friend? Good to see you, man.
Oh man, doing wonderful. Tommy, I'm pumped to be back. I was just telling you, it's been a minute since being on a podcast, and so much has happened since being on my last one. So excited to dive in with you guys today.
For sure, for sure. And it's funny because I just had a little reflective moment. And if anyone's listening and they were like, has James been on? We had James on 2021 West Coast Classic. Him and Dallin were on together right before the event. It was their first time like stepping out to the semifinal stage in Las Vegas. If you want to go see just a full transformation of two young lads just getting ready to throw down, go listen to that interview, come back. It's a great intro for that. But James, I want to go right into it. We're coming off Wadapalooza, one of the big events, premier events of the year. And you walk away with a win. First things first, initial takeaways from that win, and how are you feeling after the weekend?
Oh man. So Wadapalooza, obviously, it doesn't have much to do with the two important seasons now. It doesn't really count toward, or we could even go three. Like, there's the WFP, there's the CrossFit Games season, and there's like the Rogue Invitational qualifiers. So Wadapalooza actually did matter for like getting some Rogue points, which was super nice. But as for like the other two things, it didn't matter as much for qualification purposes or any sort of furthering you on in the season. So it was more just like a check-in and a checkpoint. Obviously it's like after the games now there's really only there's nowhere to go up. So it's like, hey, it's first or you're going down. And so I kind of like am going into these competitions like, hey, you know what? You've won before. Why can't you win again? And so this was a really good check-in point with some tests that were quote unquote weaker for me to feel like I am moving in the right direction and definitely moving the needle in the things that I'm weaker at.
I mentioned this with Sean and Tommy on our podcast. I think maybe it was right after, in our Wadapalooza recap show. So now I'm so happy we have you on, because when I look at James Sprague and we go back to when you were in the teen division, and then almost like the gap from actually getting to the elite division and now then winning the games and now winning Wadapalooza, it's like there has been this serious glow up, or even like the best way that I can explain it is boy James to man James. I don't know like the best way to describe it, but what was that transition like to finally have all of these successes and things that we can add onto the resume really just in the past year?
Totally. Yeah, for sure. I think it's actually come from making CrossFit less of a priority in my life. It's funny as that sounds. Like, I was 2 years ago, it was CrossFit or nothing. It was, if I'm not a good CrossFit athlete, I don't have a good life. I don't have things going for me. I'm not successful. And so I was just so attached to how every training day went, how every competition went. and it would, depending on how those went, that would be my mood. That would be how things were going in life. And now for me, it's, winning's awesome. Winning's super cool. The sponsors are cool. Those things are all great, but they're fading to me. They're not going to fill me up. And so for me, it's now like I have this amazing community. I have all my best friends around me all the time. I have my family around me. I'm married. I moved into a house with my wife. I just have so many things that fill me up outside of CrossFit, that CrossFit is just such an addition to my life. And getting to go into the gym and work hard is such an addition. And so I'm just so much more grateful for the process right now, because I'm not attaching my identity to the wins. And
Hmm.
so I would say that's the biggest thing that has helped me be better, is not attaching my identity or my mood or my emotions toward all in toward this journey. There's something to be said about, like, yeah, you can be frustrated when things don't go your way, but don't let it define you. And so I'm not letting those things define me anymore, and it's really helped me just enjoy this ride I have, for the however many more years I got it.
No
We
doubt.
could
And that's
see it.
yeah, I was gonna say that's an interesting concept too, because in recent years we've actually seen quite a few of the women athletes step away for that very
Hmm.
purpose, right? Is
Totally.
the kind of figuring out what your identity is outside of the sport. You've been able to do that simultaneously while still competing, and then actually finding a way to excel in that. Where do you think that difference is? Is it just different stages of life? Because we've actually seen multiple athletes pretty much just step away from competing, and
Totally.
one of them, Emma Carey,
Yeah.
that you used to train with.
100%. And everyone's reason, like, for stepping away is different. But for those people you're talking about, it's like they didn't want to keep going down a road of like a selfish, only me endeavor, where it's like, you're defining yourself based on a sport. And for Emma, it was like for her faith, and for other people, it may be just because they want to be a better human being, which is awesome. And so, when you step away from the sport, I truly believe it's like you're trying to become a better human. You're trying to enhance your life, not take away from it. And sometimes CrossFit and any sport, this is like sports psychology. Is like it can become so part of you that you don't know yourself without it. And and people understand, like, you only have so long to be a competitor.
Mhm.
So maybe I should start working away from that headspace sooner than later. So that athletes that are stepping away, I believe it is a good thing. I believe it is the
Mhm.
right step for most of them to really overcome that obstacle in their head.
And I will say, because it showed up in a big way, and not just in some of the, I don't wanna say the obstacle of winning, right? But I
Yeah.
everyone kind of had this, "Oh, crap" moment when you came out and you finished 2nd in the event that had the wall-facing handstand push-ups.
Hmm.
If I don't know if you felt this, but for me, this felt like "Oh, that's something he's been working on."
Yeah.
It's sprinkled into an event that has other movements he may like, but it just felt like, oh, you turned a corner, or maybe you showcased a new skill, or a weakness that you had attacked in the off season. And was that event really a showcase like that for you?
For sure. I felt like even more than that was the clean. Like,
Mm,
there was two events out there. I mean, I would call half of the events out there, 3 out of 6, where I was like, man, those just aren't good on paper. And they scare me, and they are things that could totally ruin my weekend if I'm not careful. And I just have to stop, like, fearing those things now, and just understand, like, no, I've worked hard enough for those things to be confident at them now. So go out on the floor and be confident. Go on the floor and don't think the worst, think the best. And like I said, it's just a mentality shift, because I've worked hard enough to earn that mentality shift. But if you're not putting in the work and training, you don't earn that right. So show up every day to earn that right.
yeah.
And I think it's interesting too when you talk about, going all in, but stepping away from like finding your identity in
Yeah.
CrossFit. But how are you able to want to be a champion, be able to achieve being a champion, but also kind of set boundaries? Is it having, and I'm sure it's a combination, but I'm sure,
Totally.
like, what are those things that you really lean into?
Totally. Yeah. I just never want to make this a selfish endeavor and all about me. So for me, it's like, representing the Lord with my gifts well, and making sure that, I'm just using the platform I'm giving for good, that I was given for good. So not ever using it to like bring glory to my name or make my name bigger, but just inspire people, help people, learn something about themselves and have peace in their own walks. So for me, it's like I was given a platform to share health, share fitness, give life, and give hope. And so I always just want to be able to show up to the gym knowing like I'm able to do that if I keep working hard.
Mm. That's a good perspective to have. And I know you've gotten married recently. Where does that
Yeah.
fit in the kind of balance equation for you? Because, it's obviously, I mean, you can count on your hand the major life moments, right? And that's
Oh,
definitely one of them.
oh yeah. It's the most important decision you'll ever make because you guys might have heard this and people listening might have heard this, but it has the ability to be the best thing in your life or tear you down and be the worst thing in your life, depending on the partner you choose. So obviously most important decision, so make sure you choose the right person. And Danica and I work so well as a team. She's a pharmacist, so she is working her butt off every day. She's at her job 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. And then I think my job's hard, and I'm like, man, I'm so lucky I don't have to go to an office and deal with people and all that. And like, but anyway, back to the point. She and I work so well together. It's like we attack everything as a team now. So like, hey, I'm lacking in this area, she can pick up in that area. She's lacking in this area, I can pick up in this area. And it makes life just so easy and thorough. And my training's gotten 10 times better since it, because say I come home and I'm exhausted and I don't have the time to make food, it's like she can be there to help me. Say she comes home from work and needs something from me, the house is a mess, she didn't have time to help clean things up, easy, it got you. Like, it's just we work as a team so well that it makes attacking life that much easier and more fulfilling, because you also have a built-in best friend.
Okay, so then can you give us your podium?
Yeah.
So your first, second, and third
Yeah.
of James's life in the last calendar year.
Oh, like what's the top, what's second, what's third? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man,
Because
this
you've
is
had a
so
lot of
good.
big moments.
That's
For
been
sure. For
now I think
sure.
about it, that's been a pretty awesome year,
It
calendar
has
year.
been.
Yeah.
It has been. Oh my gosh. We just got this is this kind of off topic, but on topic. We just got a calendar because we're like, things are becoming so busy. There's so many trips. Like, Danica doesn't even know where I'm going, when I'm going. So I'm like, let's have a family calendar. It's so
Did you get
helpful.
a big ass calendar?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
So
I
pumped.
love mine.
They're
It's
so
so
great.
great.
So great.
Tommy, if you
Dallin
don't have
Dallin
one,
had
you and
one.
Tiff need it.
We have
Hmm.
3 calendars, so going at any
Smart.
time.
Smart. Yeah, I realized that once getting married is like, oh, both schedules matter. You need to know what each other are doing now. So anyway, podium, I would definitely say, and this is gonna come as a surprise. The first would actually be our honeymoon, rather than the wedding
Ooh.
itself, because it was so relaxing to have 2 weeks just me and her, no
Yeah.
distractions, nothing we
Where
had
was
to
it?
do. Hawaii. We just went to
Yeah.
Maui.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
same here.
yeah, it was
Love it.
so good because we're so fixated on work, 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 and not rest, rest, rest. And like having 2 weeks of like, do we want to do this today? Oh, we don't have to. We can do whatever we want. Like, no obligations was like, man, it's just a reminder what life's about. Like, spending quality time together with not having an agenda, and it was just so nice. And
Mhm.
so obviously second would be the wedding and the week leading up with all my guys, how special that time was. Just I have so many good dudes in my life. Getting to spend a whole week, I had a bachelor week with them, not just a bachelor like party, it was a bachelor week. And
Cool.
we all spent time at my dad's house on the lake in Coeur d'Alene, and you know kid packed it in. We golfed, we worked out, we ate a ton of food, we adventured, we zip lined, we did everything you could imagine. So like that week leading into the wedding and the wedding itself and marrying my wife was second. And then third, oh man, like yeah, definitely the games. Definitely the games. Like it was such a shock. And it was such a like a roller coaster. I know I've talked about this so many times of emotions, but like coming out of that, just like being able to fulfill my dream this year, even though it was like tainted, like becoming a champion way earlier than I thought was such a shock and such like a um so it's so confusing to me still how that happened, but now I'm starting to believe like it wasn't a fluke because I worked hard for it, and it was just my time to be up there, and I've been working for it. um but the lead in to the game specifically too would be on that third place because I got to do it with Cole in this beautiful environment. I mean, Coeur d'Alene area here in Idaho and Liberty Lake, Washington, where we train. It's just so beautiful. And it may be terrible outside right now, but it's so worth the wait for
Mhm.
like the May through October season because it's just so amazing. So I would say that's like my podium of the last year. And I could make a top 10, and the 10th one would still be like the most insane thing ever. So I just feel very blessed for the life I live. I think I'm so spoiled rotten, and I recognize that I'm a
Yeah.
very lucky boy.
Yeah, for sure. That's
Yeah.
that's an awesome podium, and I will 100% agree with you on the honeymoon because the
Yeah.
wedding very much feels like it's for you and everyone else that's there, right?
Totally.
It's this collective thing, and then you get to take that time immediately after just for you guys'
Totally.
own selves, which is definitely needed after planning a wedding for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Um, I'd be lying if I said it didn't still feel like there's a little bit of conflict in your voice when you're talking about the game's win, obviously
Yeah.
because of the tragedy that happened and the circumstances with which really you were able to fill a life's dream, right? And it
Hmm.
comes in a scenario that I don't think anyone ever would have hoped for or imagined. And
Totally.
I'm curious, where do you net out with just when you reflect on that and how you feel about that accomplishment, and also, and I'll say, I want to put this lightly, the the negative chatter that I think existed afterwards, and people
Totally.
saying like, oh well, you know it was a different year because someone passed away,
Totally.
Lazar passed away, and it tainted it, almost to kind of take your words, and
Yeah.
other athletes weren't competing. And where do you fall thinking about that right now?
Mm. Yeah, I guess it was just like, to me, there's nothing worth a human life. No money, no prize, no nothing. And so like obviously it was so hard to celebrate anything when, a human life was taken from us, especially a friend. Uh Obviously it's like it was such a weird parallel because it's like I'm so proud of what occurred with my performance, but I'm so like destroyed internally of like how it happened. Like, so it's just like so hard to process because
Mm,
I, I was so proud and so destroyed at the same time. And I hope we never have to go through something like that as a community again because it really divided people, and I was trying to my with all that I could just try and unite people and share love and share hope and peace during that time. But it's hard because some people, didn't want to hear that, and some people need to hear that. So it caused just a lot of divisiveness with my
mm,
performance and my interviews and how I shared hope and the gospel. And I know that people needed to hear hope, even if they didn't want to hear it. Um, and it was a really tough experience, and definitely even by day 4, after like you know uh it's been a few days since it's passed and the competition's almost over, it's still like a really heavy warm-up area. It's still really it's still a just a sad environment to compete in. And there was no competitor back there that wasn't feeling it. There's a lot of people that go comment, this so and so wasn't feeling it because they did better, or so and so wasn't affected. I'm like, no, dude, I think everyone was really hurting. Everyone was really struggling to continue moving forward. But some people were just able to, really overcome that and push through the morning. And I think that there's something to be said about like, man, yeah, it was a tainted test. It wasn't the perfect CrossFit Games for sure, and I agree with them.
mhm,
They missed out on two things, and they missed out on a full field. But I don't care if you don't call me the fittest on earth. That's not what I care about. Like, I came and did a job, and I ended up first with the field I was given. And you see a lot of years. I talked with Catherine about this. Like, she got a lot of hate during like the heat year with
Mm.
was it Carrie that passed out during, who was it that passed out during
Car Saunders.
Kara, yeah, and just like there's years where people want to speak on this or speak on that, and whatever you want to say about my performance, like that's totally fine. All I know is like, hey, I improved a lot. I was really happy with the improvements, even though it was like in a tainted environment, and I guess that means I'm just gonna have to go prove myself next year, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Do
Yeah.
you feel like your win at Wadapalooza though does back it up? Like is that enough, or does that give you peace, or do you feel like it kind of has stopped that dialogue? And
Yeah, for
I don't
me,
even know if you pay attention to that or not.
totally. Oh, I see it for sure. I mean, like it's unfortunate. There's people like that send me death threats and stuff, and it's like, dude,
Oh my
like I'm
God.
literally just a competitor. Like I'm just out here trying to do what I love and like spread love through it and peace and joy and happiness, and like it's like crazy how divided some people can be. So like honestly, to those people that like send me all those negative things, which is a lot less than the positive things, for sure.
Yeah.
It's like a lot more positive than negative. Uh but like to those people, I'm just like, man, like you have a lot of sadness in your heart, and I pray for those people because it's like
Yeah.
it's sad that they think that way. Um, but anyway, yeah, the Waza thing, I never had internal dialogue that was like eating at me. I truly believed like what happened was for a reason, and because I earned it, not because of circumstances. But so it was nice to like for the negative comments have gone now for sure. Like it's like after Wazet shut those up, but it didn't change anything about how I felt about myself, if that makes sense.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, man, I'm really sorry to hear. I mean, it's just like so frustrating that like you have, and I will say this, like,
Yeah.
I understand like some people may have taken whether it's an interview or something like that a
Totally.
way that they didn't like, but
Totally.
I've always gotten an energy from you that you just want to help people, right?
Yeah.
And it's sad that in this day and age it manifests itself in a way from other people where they're going to send you like death threats
Yeah, for
anonymously on
sure.
social media. It's just, to me,
Yeah.
that's like such a weird part of our society today that
It
people
is,
have to
man.
deal with.
It
But
is. And it's just darkness, man. Like there's a lot of
Mhm.
it in the world, and that's why like even more reason to be a light, so we can like, because there's no darkness when there's light around, right? So
yeah,
if we can just shine our light, and however we're called to do that, and just be good people, like no matter what, no matter how people treat you, like you're gonna treat them with love and respect and kindness, like that's what matters. So just no matter how much hate you get, like that's our mission here, is just keep being a light. So it doesn't
for
really
sure.
phase me. It never has, and it's
Yeah.
always been like, dang, that sucks. They feel that way, but it's not going to affect how I feel about myself. And so I feel like when you start to rise in your followers or your performances, whatever it is, and people start to notice you, you're always going to have that, and you're always going to have to make a choice how you let the noise affect you. Do you blur it out and not let it phase you, or do you let it eat at you and let it
Mm.
become and talk to you and become who you are? So it's definitely something new to me that I'm like experiencing, because like this was a big year for me, and like how many people started noticing what I'm doing. But it's also been a good reassurance to me that it doesn't define how I feel about myself.
Well, and
Yeah.
I hope that it's also comforting. I think me, Tommy, Sean, and pretty much anybody that's ever met you can agree. I
Yeah.
always feel better when I see James Sprague.
Yeah, that's
A
so
big
sweet.
smile on your
Yeah.
face, and you truly are such a light. And
Thank
people
you.
that actually know you and know the James Sprague that I think we know, I mean,
Mhm.
you're just a good dude.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Agree with
for sure.
you guys too. I feel like there's so many good people in our space. That's why it's like
Yeah.
all the athletes and stuff, I feel like are just the best people, and all the media people. Like everyone's so cool, and it's just some of the fans behind the screens that don't even come to the events or know the sport. Like those are the people that make the comments. And so it's like if they actually immerse themselves in our community, how like we all do, and are part of these events, I guarantee they wouldn't be making these things, because it'd be like, wow, this is actually a really special place with a lot of really special people that are doing really special things. And we all work together, right? We wouldn't be athletes without you guys. You guys wouldn't have jobs without us. So it's like we all work together to make this ecosystem so cool.
Yeah, I've always found that everyone is significantly nicer and less gruff in
Yeah,
person, right?
100%.
Even
Yeah.
even people that I know that have like actively like talk crap about me or people that I
Totally.
care about, like online in
Yeah.
person, are just like, oh, you're suddenly nice now. So
Yeah.
I think the moral is, like, if we can commune together and get in person together more often, then we'll see a lot nicer, or a lot more
The better
uplifting.
side of humanity.
100%.
Exactly, for sure.
True that.
We're meant to be around people for sure. But
Hmm.
speaking of something that I think is maybe a light and a good experience, you recently did High Rocks
Yes.
in Vegas. Could you tell me a little bit about that experience? Because I think at the first crack, I look at that, I'm like, oh, this is something that's good for James. I think he would
Totally.
really enjoy this and do well.
Totally. Yeah, it's so interesting. I said this on like a High Rocks interview right after I finished that CrossFitters give High Rocks a really bad rep because they've seen the videos of the no reps, and maybe the standards still being adjusted, and the sport's still growing and so new. Like, if you look at CrossFit back when it just started, there was still so many things to change, and there's
100%.
always going to be innovation that needs to happen. But the whole concept and idea of these sports is so scalable and big, and you see they're doing like multiple events in a weekend now. Like,
Hmm.
there was one in, like, I'm pretty sure it was Manchester or something, while I was in Vegas too. Like, there was 2 or 3 events going on in the same weekend, and that's huge. Like, these teams are getting big, and the sport is really going global very quickly. And so I wanted to be a part of it and try it at least, and see where I'm at with it. And another thing I'm going to try in June is a half Ironman, just to be like in that world too,
Yeah.
and just like be the all-in-one fitness guy, and see, like, obviously CrossFit's my niche, and something I'm good at, and I want to continue to be good at. But like, I also want to go explore these different fitness worlds, because like, at the end of the day, we're all like one community. We're all just people trying to better ourselves through blood, sweat, and tears in our field, and bettering ourselves through physical fitness. And so yeah, it was really cool in Vegas. Definitely, like, I get enough of Vegas within 2-3 days. Every time I go there, I'm like, I'm pretty ready to go home. Uh,
Same.
yeah. So it's so funny. I made like a vlog, and I'm at the top of this like Eiffel Tower there, and I'm just looking down. I'm like, what? Like, there's just so many weird things to see. But
It's great people watching.
yeah, seriously. And beyond that point, it was cool because I realized what it takes to be at the top level of High Rocks, and I
Yeah.
am at the top level with the stations. Like, I was pretty up there on each station, like with my times and my splits compared to like the Elite 15, like my burpee split, my lunge split, my wall balls, and
I think your wall balls are the fastest among all of the Elite 15. Did I
they
see
were
that
close. There
correctly
was like
somewhere?
one guy that was like ahead of me by a second or two.
Okay.
But like, it was up there for sure.
Hmm.
And I realized how important running is. And like, I'm a great runner for CrossFit. I'm
Hmm.
usually top 5 in any
Yeah.
given running event. Um, and my running was so bad compared to these guys. Like, all these guys train running religiously, and they run 5 days a week. And we just can't afford that as a CrossFit, because we have so many other things we have to be good at. So if
Yeah.
I qualified for this Worlds in the U24 division, which is under 24, because I had the best time at Vegas by 0.25 of a second, so 1/4 of a
Woo!
second.
Oh
So, which
my
is wild, because it's
God.
an hour and 5 minute race, or hour 4 minute
Yeah.
race, and that's how much I won by. Like, came down to that, and the other guy wasn't even in my heat, so I didn't even know it at this point.
Yeah.
But I guess
Are you going to do
that
Worlds?
I'm not sure yet. I guess we'll see. It depends on a lot of things, like when I qualify for the games,
Hmm.
how the WFPs affect my body. I'm not committing to it yet, but I'm not saying no yet. But
Mm.
I also, like, if I want to do well, I realized I have to be a runner. I have to be a better runner than I already am, and the risk to reward and opportunity cost for that isn't the biggest bang for my buck, because sponsors, I don't think they're caring about my High Rocks performance right now. I don't think they're caring about how James going to go do in the U24 men. Like, that's not the concern, and that's not also where the prize money's at right now. So I think opportunity cost wise, I'm better allocating my time toward crushing CrossFit and just doing the High Rocks is for fun. Um,
Hmm.
and so it's definitely not my last time. I definitely want to break that sub hour. But what I was told from the elites Specifically, a couple of the girls, they said, this was the slowest course we've ever raced on. The sleds were harder. There's a lot more time in the rock zone, which means the transition times. For people that don't know it, it's like your time for the runs is also included like in the rock zone. So you're running in that rock zone so much to transition to the next station. And like when you had to run to the skiers or run to the wall balls or even run to the 2 sled stations, it was so much extra transition in and out. And at some of the courses, they change them up a little bit in the distances and they're a little shorter. So
Oh, okay.
I was told I would have been sub 1 hour at a different course, but I guess we'll never know until I do it. But that was my goal going in with sub 1 hour, but I wasn't disappointed when people told me, "Oh, you for sure would have been an hour at a different course." Because
Yeah.
you've seen some times for the pros that are like 53 minutes,
Yeah.
and the fastest pro was like 56:30. So to me, I was like, okay, that's good reassurance. This was a slow course, and I can do
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
Well,
so you have the big ass calendar. The next
Yes.
thing that you need now is this big wall spreadsheet that has
oh,
okay,
God.
what are the pros of doing this? What are the
Yeah.
pros of that? What are the
Seriously.
spots or obligations for this? I
Totally.
just feel like you've got your hands in so many cookie jars, but in a
Totally.
positive way that you're
Totally.
Yeah.
really diversing yourself as an athlete when it comes to marketability and
Totally.
just seeing you in person more. And I think
Yeah.
like we thought 2024 was a good year for you. I feel like 2025, there's so many like untapped avenues for you.
Totally. And that's why I want to do the High Rocks too, is like there's so many different fans and people there that you can connect with and like start relationships with. And that's why I also do the sports. Like I just love the relationship aspect of getting to know more people and
Hmm.
have more cool conversations. And just like it's a great community. Everyone's happy, just like the CrossFit community. Everyone's just there to humble themselves and work hard and show up and cheer another person on. And I felt like it was a really positive experience in that way, just seeing another community just like CrossFit, and a lot of just CrossFitters there in general. I mean, the amount
Yeah.
of Noble shirts and tier shoes I saw on, and it was pretty wild to see the amount of people that train CrossFit just for this event. And I will say there's a better way to train for High Rocks than just being a CrossFitter, but it sure didn't hurt me just training
Mhm.
CrossFit for this.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool to see that diversification.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, and kind of touching on what Lauren said, it's also nice. And, granted, what there has been some, I don't want to say division, but it feels like people are starting to maybe gravitate toward camps of like WFP versus the games versus
Totally.
like High Rocks.
Yeah.
In the very least, I think it's great that you have options, right?
Totally.
Like there are
Totally.
more options to compete and use your fitness at a high level than there ever has been
Which
before.
is great. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially for someone who is like you're young, man. You're still got a long
Totally.
runway ahead of you. It's a great thing to have, to be
Totally.
able to have those options in front of you. And I will say this: I really want to do a high rocks race.
Yeah.
I feel like it's some of us tall guys aren't punished as much. We get
No, not at all. It helps us a lot.
yeah,
I mean, that would be, unfortunately, I think that would be the worst case scenario for Colton Mertens was this event. Like it
yeah,
is a tall guy sport, and then the worst case scenario for me is grid league. That's his
Oh,
sport.
yeah.
This is mine. Like it's
mm,
like there's no cardio in grid league. It's just movement efficiency, and I'm like,
yeah,
okay, I'm tall. That's just historically what a tall guy's not good at is quick, snappy movement for cutting milliseconds off per chest to bar rep or whatever. And this high rock sport is covering distance, and that's what tall guys and tall people are good for. So,
yeah,
the guy that won the Elite 15, it's Dylan Scott,
hmm,
I'm pretty sure. He's like 6'3", 6'4", and super like he's slim. He's a slim, toned dude, but he doesn't have a lot of muscle hypertrophy, which it just shows like you can still be really efficient at these stations without peaking your strength. And I think Hunter McIntyre takes a little different approach. Like he
Yeah.
trains a lot more of the strength. He trains like heavy squats and heavy pulls and heavy
yeah,
deadlifts, and is still a good runner. But this Dylan guy, not to be rude, but I don't think he could squat or deadlift near as close to what Hunter could. So it's definitely a cardio sport and a muscle endurance sport, and you don't need to be big and strong. So I would have to cut weight if I wanted to dominate that sport, which I just don't want to now.
I mean, it's an interesting like equation, right? Because it's very
Totally.
much like the CrossFit Games. There's a couple. There's multiple ways to slice it, multiple
Totally.
ways to be successful at a high level at the sport,
Mhm.
and it's always interesting to see the different approaches that people take to get to about the same place, right? Like, and a great example, like you brought up Colton Mertens, like you guys both go to the games, and you're
Yeah.
very different athletes, very different. Skill sets, and
Mhm.
you still have both found success in the sport, which is certainly cool. But
Totally.
I want to transition to WFP because
Yeah.
that has definitely gotten a lot of hype and press, and it really feels like athletes. I'll say this: it feels like a lot of athletes that I've talked to are just like, oh, finally something that is very like specific and distilled at the top
Hmm.
and gives us like this like pro athlete
Feel
like designation almost, if that makes sense.
totally. Yeah, I love the idea. I love the people behind it. Actually, Jackson and Bella, who are kind of the main people behind it with Will. I worked for them with the Good Life Foundation. We were
Oh yeah.
working pretty hard at that. So I have a
Mhm.
good relationship with them in the
Yep,
background, and just knowing
great
their
people.
hearts
Yeah, they are.
for whenever they start something, they mean business, and they truly want to be good at it and do it for the right reasons. And so that's just really reassuring to know the people behind it really care about us as humans, not just how we perform. Like they want to see us as humans thrive and just see us have opportunity and flourish and be happy. And so yeah, the events this year are super duper cool. I am really pumped for each one, specifically like two cards in a final. It's like there's a lot of opportunity to compete, like we were talking about. Will was sharing some things with me at Wadapalooza about, potential Netflix series and just making like these athletes stars again. Like, back in the day, the 2014, 2015, 2016, even leaking into like 2018, you were creating stars. And nowadays it's like, okay, it's just an athlete that competes in a sport. And I think the WFP has a really cool mission to just make these athletes something special, like NFL or PGA, or just these like really, help increase follower counts and sponsors that want to come into the space. Like
Mhm.
it's just, I think it can be a really, really eye-opening opportunity for athletes if they want to help it grow too. It's going to take the athletes to help this thing grow and trust in it. So obviously all of us are coming into this first May event like, oh, this could go any way. I think it's going to go really good. But they have to prove themselves too, prove that they can put on a good event before everyone's like, this is it, this is the one true option. But right now what they're making it sound like is it is going to be a really beautiful thing for years and years and years to come, and a lot of support too in a financial aspect of having more security if you have a competition go bad or whatnot. Like there's just more security and ways to earn and ways to provide for your people and yourself
Mhm.
through this avenue. Because in CrossFit it's hard, you don't win, get second or third, it's not a good earning year.
Yeah.
It's just not great when it comes to prize purse. And I still know athletes that rely all on the prize purse. My buddy Tudor's a prime example. He's like, I want to
Yeah.
do well in CrossFit. I don't like posting on social media. Completely respectable. I understand that. So he's like, I want to make my money off of prize money. And so WFP gives that option of like,
Mhm.
hey, you want to just be you don't want to worry about the sponsor stuff, come do this. Like you have to earn your way in, but like come do this. Be a good athlete. And in CrossFit, it's like you could do that too, but you have to guarantee yourself you're winning or second or third. And I'm really hoping the Open continues to get signups, so like we can still have a sport that's like good earning opportunity for us too in the CrossFit
Yeah.
side. Because for me personally, like I'm continuing doing the CrossFit Open in the season, and I want to see it out and support them and just be a part of it. So I'm kind of weighing like, hey, I'm gonna do both this year. Depending on how each one goes, that'll kind of make my future decisions apparent. But like this year, there's both options. So go compete as much as you can and
Yeah.
see it out. And obviously, like say the Open didn't get enough signups, it's like, hey, I still did it and competed and gave myself the choice. So I think a lot of athletes are in that shoe right now. Like, let's go do the open, see how the open signups are, and see kind of what it's going to look like for us. And at the very least, it's like if the games isn't the same prize purse, like maybe it's just athletes aren't peaking for the games as they were in the past. And that's just the reality of it. You're going to peak for where you're going to make the most big bang for your buck.
Yeah.
And so right now that's looking like it's going to be the Rogue or the WFP. And so for sure still going to go through and do it and do CrossFit because that's my roots. But it's just like you're going to go like it's just the reality of it. You're going to go where the money goes.
Well, and I think 2025 is such a cool year because there are more opportunities for athletes like yourself to compete in person. And there is this world where, you know, the CrossFit Games season can live and WFP can live. And it's really just figuring out like who we see where and if there is crossover. But at the end of the day, this is kind of the turning point of the time where there are more opportunities and for athletes to take more control of what their season looks like. I don't know specifically because I don't have spreadsheets in front of me right now, but what is your season to the CrossFit Games starting to look like? Are you going to do one in-person qualifier? Are you going to go to multiple? Where does that fit in? Also knowing that you're competing in the World Fitness Project.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, it's like not over leveraging myself and doing too much. So like Waza was a big one and I wanted to like be really good for that. So then I realized like, okay, your February schedule should probably be pretty chill because I just competed hard in January and I did a high rocks, a lot of travel. It's not necessary. I was just telling, was I telling this the other day? I was telling a friend that it's not necessarily the competing that kills me. It's the travel and the prep and the whole like new living situation and the time changes that's what's the hard part. Not being out on the competition floor for me. Because that's what I do every day. I'm out training and doing the same movement. So like once I'm out there, it's like, oh, that's the easy part. It's getting myself there and getting myself home. That's the tiring process. So anyway, yeah, for me, I'm gonna go try and win the Mayhem Classic. That's my goal right now. Is they're taking the 2 spots, and that's not a lot. So like you have to be really good for that. So, 2 months of pretty hard training to get ready for that. And honestly, the open has some like good prize purses to it too. So like I might try and send these open workouts as hard as I can and see what's possible there. But yeah, Mayhem Classic. And if that doesn't go well, I'll go do the online semifinals. And those will be kind of my 2 options. And I'm really hoping the first option goes well so I don't have to do anything online after the open.
I love that for you.
Nice. Yeah.
We'll
That's
see.
Yeah, that's awesome. Kind of out of left field. How's your golf game doing? We've chatted about this before.
Dude, are you ready for this? Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Wait, I'm gonna use back camera.
Oh,
Just got new clubs.
They look pretty.
I'm so excited. I got some Callaways and I got a specific it says my name on the bag, Sprague. So I got some like shift shaft. Yeah. It was like
are those the AI smokes?
Hook you up with a good deal?
What'd you say?
Did my brother hook you up with a good deal?
No. I got a gift. I know. I was thinking of hitting him up, but I just saw he left Naples Grant. Like he went to New Course, right?
Yeah, because they were getting rid of his position. So he's been like scrambling to get a new job. Yeah, I think is he, you know more about my brother than me. Is he officially done? Because I knew that he was like on the roster until like on the pay roster till March.
I saw that he's moving to a new course. And because I was thinking of hitting him up to play with him because I was in Naples last week moving all my stuff back this way.
So he's not moving. So I do know that.
That's good. So my golf game has been very mid because I've been traveling so much. I've been waiting for these new clubs and I've only been to the simulator like 3 or 4 times in the off season, but I do have ambitious golf goals for the next year and I will be bringing my clubs with me to like every competition. So Tommy, let's for sure go swing it if we can.
Let's 100% go play. I just got a hitting net for the backyard so I can get I don't have to leave my wife and kid to go hit,
Smart.
I love the AI smoke. I have the AI smoke 3-wood, so it's an awesome club. Yeah,
okay, good.
So I love the Callaway clubs. Yep.
I
It's
haven't
a
even used them yet, and I just got a lab putter too that should be here anytime now.
ooh.
For those
I've
that are
been
golf listeners, there's a big it's a big thing in the golf world right now.
zero
The
torque
labs,
putters. Yeah.
it's
What
nuts,
did you get the one that looks like a Greek symbol or the one it's like the Lab
dude.
DFS or the Lab Mez? Like
I think
how's it
I
shaped?
got the smallest head. Like
Yep.
the big heads were like, whoa, that's a lot to look at. And they don't hit any different. They're just all different shapes. And I got a signature orange color because I love orange so much.
Yeah.
It's kind
That's
of like my brand color, like the tiger stripes, orange black.
that's my
So,
favorite color.
dude, we're like the same person, bro. 6'2",
Same
same
but
beard.
different. Basically
Yep.
twins.
Yeah, crazy.
You're missing the shine on your forehead right
I
now, but
know.
that's
I'll
all
just have to
good.
go
Well,
cut myself, I guess, and be your
please
twin.
don't do that. Please don't do that.
Don't
We'll
worry.
Just
definitely
put the
Don't worry. I'm safe.
butterfly strip and call it a day.
Yes,
yeah, like
seriously.
Nelly. We'll
100%.
definitely have to go play at one of these events. Lauren and I have been tossing the idea around of putting together a charity golf tournament in this space for
Bro,
a long
Yes.
time.
We
We
let's
need to
really
do
make it
want
it.
to do
happen.
that. Maybe
Oh
we'll
man,
pair.
I would help you guys pub that up so hard. I
We,
would make so many reels and memes to just help you guys make that happen. And
oh, I
let's
love
find
it.
like a good charity. Like
Yeah,
it could be something so cool that could help the space grow too, and
yeah.
just
Could be
like
for the
more
good
of
life.
that. Yeah, 100%. It could go toward
Yeah,
anything like that. And I'm so down. Maybe it's like after one of the WFP events or something this year.
yeah. That'd be
Oh,
great.
great idea. We'll
Arizona would be
kick that
pretty hot
around.
unless it's 5 a.m., but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, yeah. My brother lives down there. That's the tough time to get out during the day for sure.
100%.
Yep.
100%. I
Well,
can't wait for that.
Cool, James. I appreciate you taking the time. It's always great catching up with you. We're stoked for what lies ahead for you in 2025. It seems there's a ton of opportunity in the space. It was great watching you compete out at Wadapalooza, and thanks as always for carving the time out to catch up with the team.
My goodness. Thank you guys so much for having me out. And it was an honor to get to chat and catch up with you guys. It made me realize, too, just like putting it out there, how much is going on this year and like the
Hmm.
adventures to come and how much good we have to come. And I just got home literally yesterday and I'm already so stoked about like the next thing. So I'll
Oh,
soak in some
great.
time with the wife till the next thing comes up.
No doubt, no
Good.
doubt.
Tell her we said hi too.
I
Yes.
will. I will. I'm hoping to get her out to an event here soon and get some time off of work for her. But she just started, so she's like really in that grind and
Ooh,
accumulating
yeah.
all the like
Mhm.
the sick hours and the leave hours. So real world job. I wouldn't understand.
Yeah. All good. Hey, and hopefully you don't have to for a while. So,
Yeah,
um,
truly.
good to see you, man. Be well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks,
You guys too. Have
James.
a great rest of your day.
Big thanks to James Sprague for taking the time to sit down with Tommy and Lauren. Always a pleasure speaking to him. His dad actually reached out to me, wished me a happy birthday. Like that's how I.
Oh, that's so sweet. Their whole
Patrick-
family is so
Patrick's
sweet.
such a good guy. Like
He
I
is.
hope I am half as good a father as he's been. And if I'll be a success if I'm half as good a dad as Patrick Sprague. Like, come on. Okay, before we get into, we're not going to do PRs and no rest. We're going to do story time with Tommy because we tease this at the top of the show.
I love it.
So Tommy, I'll set the stage here. Tommy was in Costco, which can be just roll the dice as far as what you're going to get in there. Maybe some days it's lovely.
Free samples.
Other days it's like the Royal Rumble. And I will let Tommy take over from there.
Well, today was definitely an example of when having that dog in you goes wrong. Because
oh my God.
I was frequenting my local Costco establishment, as I often do, because I am a Kirkland fanatic. And I just finished shopping. And I decided, you know what? Why not treat yourself? Maybe go by the food court, get yourself a little chicken bake, maybe a soda pop. Normally, if my wife's with me, we do 50-50 on the hot dog soda combo and chicken bake, and we split, we share. It's an elite combo. But our Costco, as I know many of them have, it's pretty much you have the prepaid lines now, and then there's the whole pizza pickup. The prepaid lines, there's a sign above it that says 2 separate lines. Line up here and get your order. So basically, they have the kiosk where you can order or you get it at the checkout stand. And then there's 2 very distinct lines that you get in, and they have 2 people helping you. Well, I'm walking up to the front to get into that line because I've already made my order. And there's a woman in front of me who we both notice at the same time that only one line is filling up. The second line is empty. And we're like, that's weird. There's 2 lines. And every time I've been there, like they've been adamant, use both lines. That's why they have it. And they want to keep things moving. So we're like, all right, well, I guess whatever. So we go to fill up that other line. And as soon as we, and there's one woman helping the line to our left. And as soon as we get there, a second worker comes up and waves that woman forward. Standard operating procedure. Our lucky day, we got a clear line. We'll go up. Suddenly, this man, just like shoots the gap from the back of the other line, like shoulders from behind, shoulders through me, shoulders through this woman, and gets up to the front and like bodies her out of the way and puts his ticket in front of her. And he goes, I had this. And she immediately goes with like just the sass of 1,000 suns. Excuse me, sir. What do you think you're doing? And we're all like, whoa, what's going on? And he's broken the social contract at this point.
Clearly.
And he goes, you cut. And we're like, whoa, no. And she turns to him. She goes, can you read, sir? What does that sign say? And it's like 2 lines. No one was in this line. I'm sorry. None of you guys thought to get in the second line, but I walked up the employee and she's giving it to him. Right. And he's just shouting in her face. Like, he's like, no, you cut bullshit this, bullshit that. And finally I grab him by the collar and I yank him and I'm like, hey buddy, like you need to stop. And like 3 other dudes, like we kind of like circle up around him like, hey, you need to stop.
It's going to be a throwdown.
And he tries to still go for it. So she turned the food court employee goes, ma'am, I'll take your ticket now. What do you have? And he turns and tries to body her again. And because we're like in a half U, and she like shoulders and back. And I thought she was going to swing on him. I thought we were going to have the full on fight here. And we grab him again. And this old man, bless his heart, walks up. He couldn't have been a day younger than 80.
Wow.
But he was as tall as me. He's tall gentleman. Dang. Tall drink of water, as they say. And he turns and goes, sir, like very loudly, sir, that young woman is right. You were wrong. And she turns to him and goes, thank you, sir. And the guy will not back down. What is
wrong with people?
And he's got one of those like little like mobile earpiece, like those little cell phone earpieces that were cool 15 years ago.
God.
And he's just being a complete douchebag. And finally, basically the Costco employees offered to help, but pretty much everybody but him. They waved him over to the whole pizza line and basically made him stand there while they took care of us. And everyone's just like, we're going to get our food anyways. And half of us are like, what just happened?
My God.
Like, I legit thought we were going to throw down in the Costco parking lot or in the food court. But you know what I think helped though? Because you may have noticed from the James Sprague interview that I had a butterfly bandage right across my eye that I now just have a healed wound from.
Not from Costco.
I had that while I was in Costco.
There you go.
And he looked and was like, this dude's cut up. What's going on?
He looked intimidating.
Little did he know, I hit myself in my own face with the connecting arm of a mobile I was putting on my son's crib.
See, that's always how it happens.
My forehead open.
That's always how it happens. Yep. 100%.
It was a Star Wars mobile, Sean. You'll appreciate it.
See?
For the crib at my parents' house, I yanked it twice because it was on backwards. Didn't realize it had come loose on that one. Thought I had to lean over and really yank it, and immediately came off and cut my forehead open. So the consolation of splitting my forehead open and getting a butterfly bandages to keep it like pressed together was that it was intimidating for this guy at the Costco food court.
What a jerk. You know what? Hey, but good on you and the other men there. For real men don't start fights; they break them up.
It's just
that was
silly.
awesome. Good on you. Good job.
Yeah.
Way to protect somebody. I like that. All right. Well, I'm glad that didn't escalate into a kerfuffle. It was just a minor verbal conflict.
I would have started. I mean, it would have been hilarious. I mean, dogs would have been flying. Dang. Someone would have got a churro in the eye.
Yeah, like bad.
Yeah.
Would have made the local news on Monterey TV.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for doing your good Samaritan duties and
good job, Tommy.
And regaling us with that tale. All right, that's going to do it for today. Thanks again to James Sprague for stopping by. I really appreciate him taking the time and being so candid about some stuff. That's always just a great kid to talk to. Open right around the corner. Lauren you're in South Carolina for the fittest experience? Fittest of the coast.
Fittest of the coast.
Okay. So you'll be having that. That'll be on social media. You'll be covering their social media and keeping people up on what's going on with that event. So that should be fun. We got the Arnold right around the corner too. I'll be going to that. That's going to be fun. So if
that's the first week of the Open, right?
It is. Yes.
Yeah.
They always, because last year I remember I did the first Open announcement and I had to drive to Oakland and hop on a plane and then we got to like Columbus at, I don't know, midnight, and then it was crazy. Me and Matt Hoffman, good times. All right. That's it. Everybody have a great week. Thanks to everyone who reached out to me and wished me a happy birthday. I really appreciate it. For Lauren Khalil and Tommy Marquez, I'm Sean Woodland. Take care of each other, be better, and we will talk to you guys next time.
Like a kiss at the start of a first date. If it's good, it's good. I don't want to wait. When the feeling's right, I'm taking